you will appear in video if you choose to have your camera turned on. We will have some points at which public comment is appropriate. I will tell you when those are, and if you're interested in making a comment or asking a question, please indicate by raising your hand physically or digitally using the Zoom command. And when you're recognized, tell us your name, address, or professional affiliation, and we'll give you, I hope 2 minutes will be sufficient to pose your question or make your comment. We will also conduct all of our votes tonight by roll call in accordance with good remote meeting practice. And we have a chat function, but it is limited to technical questions because it does not become part of the permanent record. So don't ask any substantive question or make any comment on chat. So with that, I will call the roll and we can get going. Mr. Hoffman.
Here.
Mr. Lumsden.
Here.
Dr. Ottinger.
Here.
Dr. Turner.
Here.
Dr. Hayes.
Here.
And I am Steve Gang, chair. That makes 6 of us, which is a quorum. Dr. Bodmer Turner will be out tonight. We wish him a speedy recovery. We also have our able administrator, Bethany Barstow. There she is. And perhaps a little later this evening, we will have the Director of Land Management, Mark Resnick, with us. Unless I'm missing something here. All right. Our first item is to open the public hearing for a notice of intent continued from our last meeting for 44 Norwood Avenue, Mass DEP file 39-937, map 50, lot 21. The applicant is Nicholas Stangl, and the project proposes remediation of the foundation, construction of additions with associated outbuildings and fences and such. This is located within work within bordering land subject to flooding and 200-foot riverfront area. And we've had the benefit of a site visit last weekend, at least some of us did. And I believe collectively we posed some questions which Nick has answered. But I will open it up to Conservation Commission members for further questions or comments. I noticed that the applicants are here. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, commissioners.
Henry.
I just wanted to check in with Bethany, actually. And just want to make sure she's on. There you are.
Yeah.
Bethany, you mentioned that the applicant had responded to some of your questions. Or was there anything that we should know that was not responded to?
Sorry, hold on. Dangers of 2 computers, sorry about that. No, what I meant was when I was at the site visit, I took it like earlier, like 2 weeks ago, shortly after your everyone else's site visit. He was waiting for the stonemason to get back to him. So when I was regarding to some questions, I was regarding to my site visit, and he seemed to be getting all the answers afterwards on when I sent all the information. So that was what I meant by that.
Got it. Thank you.
Anybody else have a question or comment?
Go ahead, Dave.
David first, then Gordon.
Okay, well, Nick, I really enjoyed meeting you and your wife. You're charming people. And I'm very empathetic to young people moving into this town because I think it's so important to we need more of you. But I'm concerned about the building on the second floor. I think it's going to put tremendous weight and pressure on that unsupported stone wall. The house unfortunately is very close to the stone wall, and if that stone wall was to collapse, I'm afraid there may be, not only affect your property and your house, but it may affect properties upstream, because it could create a dam. There's so much height in that stone wall, that loosely laid stone wall. And it's not even a reinforced stone wall. So I'm reluctant to approve this just because of the danger that might be involved to not only your property, but to others upstream and to the town's property.
Do you want to respond?
Yeah, I appreciate the concern. I heard you loud and clear at the site visit and took measures to try and address that. I'm assuming as I'm talking here that you guys have seen my letter of revisions, but just to start from reaccount for that, since you guys came, I took to heart those comments and your main concern being one of them, and I contacted a local stonemason who specializes in stone walls. He comes highly recommended from representation that is very favorable to the commission, and he's currently working on projects, I believe, that are have come before you and in the past. He gave me a remediation that I should be using. He prescribed a remediation for the stone wall that we should do regardless of what this project, and then gave sound steps that I could do on top of that to remove the stress on top of the wall. On top of that, I rethought from the beginning my plan for adding additional weight to the building and started from the assumption, rethinking all assumptions about what we were to do there. One thing to know is my original plan was to put a truss roof on top. Now, the truss roof would bring all that load to the outside edges of the wall. And I appreciate that comment and concern and took it to heart and no longer going to make that as my primary approach. But because if I have a couple methods that I've outlined in the letter of revisions that I could do to greatly reduce those loads. But the technique I want to approach with it is, first, we have a lot of remediation we have to do on the west side of the wall and the north side of the house that will give great insight into the construction methods and construction condition of the building that was taken at the time that it was made. There's a certain amount of load that you're legally allowed to add in international building codes, and I want to greatly remove all the weight that I'm going to take off that wall. Well, not take off that wall. I don't want to increase that wall any more than what is legally set by the building standards. On top of that, I rethought about maybe moving the ridge instead of going east-west, going north-south as a way, because that would take all weight off of the wall. It would move it going perpendicular from the wall. But the problem with that is your biggest concern is wind loading. And when you have a wall that's as tall as that ridge would be, those wind loads are much higher than the dead load and live loads that you'd be adding. So I think that we have techniques to greatly reduce those loads. We're doing structural analysis to finalize that, but I think the approach we want to take is to start with an assessment in the first phase of the project.
Can I ask one follow-up question?
Encouraging. Go ahead, David.
So I formerly lived downstream from you on Night Circle. And my property deed said that I owned to the middle of Sawmill Brook. But some of my neighbors did not have that right. So I'm wondering, what does your deed say? Are you entitled to work on that? Do you own that stone wall?
I have not seen oh, sorry, do you want me to answer that, Chair?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
We have not seen any record of that wall being to other ownership. But it is a question. Some of my previous neighbors in the 60s brought it up with the town, believing since the town paid for that wall to be built, that the town should be responsible for repairing it. I would love that to be the case, and then because I'd rather not have that responsibility on myself. But it was determined at that time by the town's legal counsel that since they paid for the wall, but not for a wall to the strength to support a house, that it was not under the town's responsibility. Now, I am still going to pursue a public records request because at the time that the wall and bridge was built, it was all put out to bid, and I'm sure there's proposals. It is outlined in the bid process that 360 feet of stone wall was to be built in conjunction with the bridge that was paid for by the town. So there's not a final answer to that, but I see no legal issue with me doing the prescribed method that was given to me by Kevin.
I also have a practical sort of property law answer for you, David, which is that this applicant owns the property on both sides of the stream for a good stretch of it, including the area where the wall is most prominent and is a feature of the house. So I believe that means, in property terms, that they own the stream bed as well. They just don't own the water transiting through it. The general rule in town is that you own to the middle of the stream bed. I'm not sure what it would mean to put that explicitly in a deed or to leave it out. You have to talk to a more active property attorney to find out. But I don't think
Oh, sorry.
I don't think it's an issue in this case. I also wanted to point out that this is a case where I think our interests in protecting the wetland, meaning not having this wall subside or collapse, are pretty well aligned with the applicants. As far as I can tell, this is not a case of a developer trying to fix up a house and flip it. At least to all appearances, this is not. This is someone who's investing considerable personal capital in the project, suggesting that he will probably not cut corners on things that could endanger the safety of his family.
Steve, can
you had a question as well?
A few comments maybe, and I do agree. I think this issue of the wall and whether or not additional load will be placed on it, I think is an important question. And maybe I'll just address that now and then address some of the other things that came up at the site visit. But I don't know. It feels like normally we would have kind of, for a project like this, we'd have the architectural plans, we would know how much additional load was being put on that wall. So I guess what I'm struggling with is how do we approve or deny or whatever at this point, or condition this project with that amount of uncertainty. But I understand what the applicant is saying, that they kind of need to get started. They need to fix the foundation, and kind of figure some of these things out. Um, is this the kind of thing where we would approve most of the project, but leave off the second story addition for now until we can get, more clarity on what the design is going to be, since it does impact the wall and thus the wetland? Um, or do we try to put some conditions in that we get plans submitted, before work is done, something like that? So that's just some of the things I've been thinking about. I'd love to hear what the other commissioners think. While we were on the site visit, though, let me just wrap up a few of these other things. There were issues of questions of trees along the bank and things like that, and I appreciate the visit from the tree warden to address that. I'm comfortable with the recommendations. I think that makes sense. Um, and I and there was a question of runoff from the roof, and I think I'm comfortable with the idea that no additional runoff is going to be added, and so I'm comfortable with the plans for that. So I appreciate that all of those were addressed. My big question right now is just still about the wall and sort of the uncertainty around the plans.
That's a great question. I can imagine us adopting either approach, although I would not want to be responsible for approving or disapproving a plan. I think I'd rather hand that off to the building inspector or to somebody who more likely
Yeah.
to be able to look up
Okay.
the right tables and
Yeah,
check the calculations.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can I mention something real quick to clarify Gordon's
Mhm.
question about like approving something afterwards or waiting?
Yeah.
The DEP representative, Alicia Galen, has
Mhm.
informed me that once you approve a project, you can't look at like really like anything else unless they refile again. Like you can't
Mhm.
discuss anything else. So that
Right.
option two you mentioned actually can't
I wonder,
happen.
based on what
Closure.
I wonder if based on what Steve said, there would be some way to condition that the building, the project be approved,
Yeah.
providing that the building inspector okays the final plans and pays special attention to the loads being placed along the wall or something like that. So then it's
Yeah.
not us, it's just we approve it as long as, it's done safely. And
I
then we
feel
leave it
like
to the
that
building
that
inspector.
makes more sense than like
Yeah.
another like
Yeah.
adding asking for more documentation
And to what
after.
Steve said, we're not the ones to judge that anyway, so that makes more sense to have the
I
building
mean,
inspector.
if it were a wetlands technical question like stormwater management, we would normally ask for an independent peer reviewer, an expert
Mhm.
in stormwater management. But since the town has a building engineer,
Okay,
we can probably rely on him.
okay, thank you.
You agree, Olga?
Yes, but I might be my issues with SharePoint, but I never got this letter of revision. Is that in SharePoint?
Yeah.
So
That's what I
maybe
thought.
somebody can send me that at some point.
I will.
wonder,
I will.
Okay, great.
I
And
wonder what it,
the only thing we didn't talk about at the site visit, because it seems like we've covered all the other things, is on the western side. I think you might want to put a fence there. So there was like a strip of gravel that you wanted to put there. I'm just wondering why we need the gravel. You said 2 feet wide and running south to north. Am I missing something here?
Yeah, can I, what I've learned from, and having experienced, many times is that, one good way to manage ticks is to keep a gravel barrier. And that was the intention of I'll call it a stone trough along the fence. Um, I, I have witnessed a great reduction in ticks by surrounding yards in stone. I'm not interested in doing it along the north side. I think that it's far too complicated, and it's I mean, a certain amount of them are going to get there regardless, and then the stream edge as well. But my intention was to just have a little bit of a barrier there.
All right, so I didn't know if anybody had an issue with that, because we did not talk about that at the site visit. Because if it floods, the stones going into the water, not an issue?
They're not going to be set on top of grade. It's going to look like an even with grade. I guess
Mhm.
the one thing that could happen when it's floods is that debris could fill the rocks, and then I guess the best way to deal with that would be to actually clean the rocks, because what I understand is the ticks want to go from vegetation to vegetation, and when they feel the rocks, they don't really crawl through it.
All right, well, we just hadn't talked about that, and so I
Yeah,
thought.
no, we talked about it a lot, and it was a chock full site visit. But yes, thank you for asking.
And it is completely pervious. There's no
No,
Right.
no, yeah,
impervious portion of
pervious.
it. Yeah, and I guess we could add a condition that the stone be of sufficient caliper that it's not going to easily wash away. In our experience with flooding there, it is possible that it could go underwater. When it does, there's not a terrific amount of motion back there because the water has sprawled out into a fairly flat area of wetland. I should say I hope that never happens, but it has in our memory and experience, mine. And I vividly remember the plants that had been set out for Mother's Day at Chapman's nursery on Vine Street, gently bobbing past as they were carried by the waters downstream, flooding around our house. And
They're free if that happens, Steve.
yeah, that's what we discovered. Although some of them went so far into the wetland that's between School Street and Norwood that nobody could actually get them. They're probably growing to enormous size back there.
Well, the only other thing I want to say is Nick and your wife, I totally appreciate what you're trying to do with a very difficult lot. So,
Yes,
Yeah,
and
thanks.
a challenging house as well.
yeah,
Jim,
So I'll give my comments. Two unrelated. Regarding the trees, the one concern I have is I'm no fan of Norway maples, but it is important to shade these streams. And when you clear out as many trees as you're talking about, you're eliminating a lot of that shade, and the replanting plan is really on shrubs and so I have a little bit of trouble with that you're eliminating some trees that are accomplishing one aspect of stream health, which is temperature. My more substantive issue is just that, and I've read all your materials, and I was on the site trip, and it seems that you're operating as the general contractor. And, when we raise questions, you give us anecdotal kind of responses, or you go talk to a stonemason who might be an expert mason, but and you have talked to neighbors about where the flooding ended and stopped. And you've talked to an arborist about the trees, but I don't get the confidence that this site has really been engineered for the here and now, and everything you're talking about doing, and the susceptibility of this site for flooding and further erosion. So I don't have a lot of confidence until I see, someone with real expertise saying that this project is going to be able to be completed. And I'd hate for you to go down the road and then find out it's a bigger project than you thought, and you got mixed advice from different people, and then we're all stuck. And I just think some of this stuff has to be researched, and we as a commission need to be able to rely on, some experts here to know that this thing can, that this wall can survive further flooding and the modifications to the house and modifications to the trees. I just don't feel like we should be relying on just talking to contractors for this. I think it's too big of a project. That was my impression, but I'm kind of new to this as well.
Well, I'm just wondering, is it something we can condition? Steve, what do you think? Can we condition it to ask for the building inspector's review or the wetland scientist, Nick, that you talked to have their signature on the wetland part of it? Would that alleviate some of our concerns? If we had statements from experts? I understand you're trying to save money by doing this on your own, and you've got enough expertise and you're very interested. But I'm just wondering if we can get just sign off, so it's just a consultation and a sign off that would alleviate some of our concerns. I don't know where other people stand on that. Or
Is it
Bethany,
particularly the load on the wall abutting the stream that concerns you as a potential kind of black hole of problems and additional expense, or are there other
Well,
aspects?
I think even the issue of, the last flood and where it hit, we're kind of relying on just, what happened with that individual event. Whereas, since that time, I'm sure everybody has built up some defenses and the water's going to channel differently. And we're talking about, increasing impervious surfaces. So I feel like the main thing though is that we want to know that that this renovation, is properly engineered, that the loads on that wall and whatever water table is running through that site hasn't compromised it in ways that we can't really understand.
Nick, are you eventually going to have engineered plans or architectural drawings for this?
Um, there's many questions. If you want me to just address that, it's my intention to work with a structural engineer that I work with on the loads and the upper part, the stability and condition of the wall. I've been relying on Kevin, and I know that Jim's new to the hearing, and I hope that when I say Kevin's name, he garners some respect with commissioners, because I know that he's has a long history in town here. And I heard several other questions. If there's if you want me to address those too.
Yeah, the reason I asked you about architectural and engineering drawings is that at some point we're going to rely on the building inspector's calculation and confidence that the structure you have in mind and the way the load is distributed won't overtax the wall, the armoring of the stream. So presumably you'll have to have fairly detailed architectural drawings, engineering drawings showing distribution of load, things like that.
Yes, I plan to make those drawings. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that will be part of the condition then, because I can't imagine building inspector kind of, wetting his finger and holding it up in the air and saying, this will probably work. We're going to ask him to do something more detailed.
Well, especially, I mean, I don't want to, but as a taxpayer, I mean, I want to know it's going to work, because you've just kind of said you might hold the town accountable if it doesn't, with the, whose responsibility that wall is. And so I do think it's incumbent on us to then ask for a civil engineer to sign off on it, so that we can say, okay, well, we relied on that. And I think it's a complicated site. So That's my thought.
Agreed. Other comments, Henry?
Just real quick procedurally, between conditioning, I'm leaning closer to continuance until potentially we could see information from both the structural engineer and possibly a wetlands scientist. Procedurally, which is the better path for us?
Because I think, Nick, you indicated that you need to do some of the excavation in order to ascertain what you need to do up above, correct?
The work that we need to do for the foundation remediation will highly inform us on what is possible and what current conditions are. The take that is on the CMU is CMU does not just collapse. CMU would you would have a settling, and you would see issues with it, and some of those issues we could see in the excavation process.
So I'm just wondering, procedurally, it almost feels like you need to do some work before this structural engineer can weigh in on what actually would be the way to do the rest of the construction. I'm just trying to think whether we should break this apart and pull out the second story out of the project for now and approve part of it. I don't know. Bethany, what do you think, Steve?
We haven't done much of that before. We usually ask the applicant to go back and revise, if they're willing, to revise their NOI. But I don't think we're prohibited from granting an order of condition for part of the project. Bethany, do you have a opinion about that?
Hi guys. I never experienced that before,
No.
honestly. I only have done partial like certificates of compliance, like we have done here.
Right.
So I never had like a project where it was just a partial order of conditions. So I'm a little stumped on that.
So just hypothetically, if we were to ask Nick, you to separate out the elements of this project which will could add considerable load to the foundation from the rest of it, which would include your exploration of the foundation, your remediation of it, your work on the landscape and outbuildings, and probably the small addition that amounts to stairways. Could you separate the two?
I would respond and say that this project is made to be in phases. So yes, there's clear start and stops, but the start and stop of the application and NOI process is taxing as well. And if commissioners feel like the stability of the wall is what's holding them back from voting, then I would rather see a condition that from a structural and a letter from a structural engineer saying that they approve the that the wall remediation plan and proposed loading is they approve of.
Yeah, I think it's more than the wall remediation. It is having enough of a structural engineering report on what the addition is and what all the loads are going to be. I think that's kind of the key part that's missing for us. So having that report from a structural engineer would be desirable.
Yeah.
Then
can I just address that with one comment, which is the issue that the proposed solutions that I have for reducing the structural load. One of those is I could take that beam that is going to support that that roof size and bring it 10 feet back from the wall. Now, if I would have to chase all that support all the way into the ground, but if that's the only way that I can get approval, or not approval, but the loads to work with the International Building Code and with the structural engineer I'm working with, that is a solution. I could have come tonight with plans that show architecturally everything, but I think the approach is more, we want to be most informed as possible. So one way is to do the truss system, which we've already decided that being the cheapest and now least desirable method for loading. And then a next method is to do a ridge beam from the top, which cuts that load into a quarter of what the new proposed was. And then we could cut that even further by moving the beam over. So there is solutions to decreasing that.
Hearing you talk about it, Nick, it does seem to me plausible if tonight we approved all the aspects of the project that are going to impact the rest of the riverfront, everything except the portion of the wall on the stream bank that's supporting building load and will continue to support it. You could proceed with the exploratory work and remediation of the foundation, and then you could come back with a much more definite idea of how you want to support the roof and the weight of the addition on the second floor. And in that case, we would be looking at only one aspect of impact on the wetland, which is that wall that carries load and is part of the stream bank. So I think we might be able to, not guarantee, but foresee a fairly simple second NOI, so to speak, or amended first NOI.
I think we'd be open to that. I would ask that maybe the commission waive all fees that they can on their end for a second application that only includes that part. I know that you can't waive the notice to abutters and you can't waive the DEP file itself, but and that, in fact, it's not going to be a second file. It's going to be an amended order of conditions.
Exactly. It's going to be an amendment to the initial one. And what are others' reactions to adopting this kind of two-phase approach with trying to limit the impact of the second phase to one specific portion of the wetlands, namely that wall that carries load?
The only
I find
other
the
option,
Project is connected, Steve. Those two things, they can be separated out, but they are interrelated.
the only other option would be to continue it and ask for just one thing, which is an analysis by a structural engineer.
I'm with Olga.
And at that point, Nick, you would have him give you, if there are 3 or 4 choices as to how you handle that second floor, he can give you the loads if you do this, if you do that. And so then we would have everything we need to close the hearing and not try to do this stretching that we're trying to accommodate to, because we want to have you do this project.
Yeah, I understand that.
So
want
the
me to
question
respond?
is, can you get it pulled together for us in 3 weeks or later, or? I don't know. Where is everyone else on that one?
I think that would be more straightforward. I am kind of creating a kludgy solution here by breaking it into phases with an amended order in between them.
I think I would prefer to have all the information if it's something that can be provided. Jim had also raised questions about the wetland, like the flooding potential and things like that. I don't know if others would also appreciate some kind of a report on that, how people feel about that.
Well, we want a report from the wetland scientist that you work with, Nick. So
Okay.
that can maybe included. You want a history of the floods and what they do? I thought we had that.
We have the latest FEMA flood maps. You updated us with the brand new ones. And I'm
So
I'm not sure we can take, testimony of locals about even someone as reliable as me, who testify about what happened 20 years ago.
The question is, why would that be significant? We know the area floods. And Nick is doing what he can with the flood zones and elevating things. And so I'm not sure why we need that piece of it.
Well, I don't think the current design, and again, I don't know, I'm not an expert in this, but I don't think it's designed to withstand a flood. The design assumes the flood won't hit them. That I think is a big difference. So, but maybe that's an issue for the building inspector. But when you rebuild in a flood zone, usually you have to rebuild to withstand a flood and not just in a significant way. You've got to address it. I don't think this I don't think Nick is saying that he's doing that. Pretty hard to do that.
Steve, we're at 40 minutes. Let's
Yeah.
decide what path we're taking and move it along.
There's
All
three
right.
topics that I just heard that if you'd like me to respond, that I would love to.
Please.
Steve,
Yeah,
I need
Nick,
to
I think,
hear from you how we're gonna proceed for tonight's meeting.
yeah, I think, Nick, we need to make a decision on our end and
Can
make
I
sure
keep
that
it
it's
short with in one sentence?
I am happy to make a motion that we continue the case pending the report of a structural engineer and a wetlands scientist
for September 9th.
for September 9th.
Good. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Just before, if you have a discussion before the rest of
Yeah.
us vote.
Let's have some discussion.
That I really don't want to go throwing other questions at Nick later.
Mhm.
Are we getting everything we need with a wetland scientist report and a structural engineer? And the structural engineer, Nick, can certainly comment on the impacts of floods in that area. I think. So-
Yeah. I mean, to be specific, we'd like to know that a civil engineer can approve one or more of your designs for the architecture and the loading of the second floor and its roof. I'm not sure how to describe the interaction with flooding. We have the FEMA flood maps. We have the historical record. We have required flood chambers along Sawmill Brook in one case, which is across the brook and a little ways down at Putnam Court. So it wouldn't be the first time we had asked about that.
I think Nicholas had described at our site visit things he was doing to help protect, trenching along the side or putting some protection. So, we just want to know that is going to, work.
I just want to make sure we don't go through more questions on September 9th.
Mhm.
Right. I can see clearly how we could get the design and loading added or not added loading to the structural wall. I'm having more trouble seeing how we're going to get anything definitive on flooding.
Steve, I'm not that familiar with this project, but I mean, the building commissioner doesn't enforce the flood, floodplain bylaw through the issuance of building permits, so perhaps the applicant can meet with, if he hasn't already, with the building commissioner to see, even though he may not have a foundation design finalized or second floor design finalized, but at least to see if there's going to be any additional requirements under the floodplain bylaw. And then that can at least answer that question about whether the construction is substantial enough that elevation's required, which I think is kind of what Jim was kind of
Right.
asking about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a good summary.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful.
And
Other questions or
Olga,
comments?
yeah, further, Olga, we may very well have questions after seeing information from the wetland scientist or the structural engineer. That's the purpose of gathering the data, is it not?
Right, but in terms of what we know now, I want to make
Yeah,
sure that,
we don't
Nick-
know enough right now.
yeah. So
At any
I'm
rate,
ready to
Mr.
vote.
Chair, can we please vote on my motion?
We can. There being no other commission comments. Hang on just one second, Nick. Let's take a vote. Gordon?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Henry?
Aye.
Jim?
I,
Olga?
Aye.
And I will be an aye as well. It's unanimous. I don't want to deprive you of airtime, Nick, so please speak up, but keep it brief.
I've already talked to the building commissioner. I can write his thoughts down. I will meet with a structural engineer and have him address one of my plans potentially being suitable without the additional information I can get from the site visit. We would very much like to move forward with removing the second floor if that's the holding block, because we'd like to start working. At this point, we might be moving in towards winter. And I did not hear clear what you would like from a wetland report. This is the first I'm hearing of wetland questions.
Does anyone have any questions about wetland delineation?
No. Just,
Okay, then what-
did the wetland engineer or scientist that you talked to, Nick, did he, that gave you all those, the advice, has he signed off?
You want a letter signing that he approved the, yeah, he signed the NOI signed, and he, I have a letter signing that he did the wetland delineation on that date.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need that.
I'm not sure what else we can expect from the wetland environmental scientist. All
Okay,
right. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, commissioners. We'll
right.
continue to September 9th, and we'll move on now to a request for an extension of an order of condition from 17 Ashland Avenue, Manchester Marine Corporation, Mass DEP file 39-877. This is relatively straightforward. Is someone here on behalf of it? I thought not. I'll simply read the original order of condition was issued September 7, 2022. It's currently sent to expire September 7th of this year. Due to a delay in receiving Chapter 91 waterways permit, we have not yet completed the pile work authorized under the order and would like to request an extension in accordance with the WPA and local bylaw. They're requesting a 1-year extension, which is all we can grant under the local bylaw. And I move that we grant a 1-year extension under the Wetlands Protection Act and local bylaw for DEP file 39-877.
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor, Olga,
aye,
Henry,
Aye.
Gordon,
Aye.
Jim,
I,
David,
Aye.
and the chair is an aye. Thank you, that was quick. So we move to an order of condition for 0 Reed Park, Manchester by the Sea, town project to expand the existing float system, DEP file 39-938. Has everybody had a chance to look at this, or could we put it on the screen? Let me
I'll
see
put
if
it
I
on
can
the
do that.
screen in a second.
Oh, can you do that? Excellent.
Can everyone see this?
Yeah,
Mhm. Yep, thank you.
Okay, so the beginning is like all the things,
Yep, you can
regular.
skip all of that, skip
We're
all of that, go
skipping
straight to
all the
that. There you go.
things, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're at the, where would you like to start,
I'd like
Steve?
to start with the previous page.
This page?
Yes,
Okay.
general and special conditions. These are boilerplate, but
Mhm.
of note, it refers to Army Corps of Engineers. On to page 3. Reconstruction requirements are also boilerplate,
Mhm.
as are the project period conditions. I think we don't have to worry about we might have to worry about disturbed soils because there is going to be some trenching to provide utilities for this.
Yeah, trenching is what has me concerned, Steve.
Okay, let's move on to special conditions
Definitive.
then, because that's where that's covered. So specific pile locations will be up to their consultant. Only non-CCA timber or equivalent. I think they're planning to use Greenheart. All pile installations done from the water side, hammered, not jetted. Piles will be installed at the position the seaward face of the float to maintain a minimum of 6 feet depth at low tide. We have to conform to time of year restrictions for the winter flounder and shellfish. The float system will be seasonal and removed off-season.
So wait a sec. I don't see, with the exception of notification for tree trimming or removal.
Yes,
I don't see anything about
35 goes.
trenching.
Is that the one you're talking about? 35?
Yes, but that's not exactly what we need. Notice that when the trenching occurs between the trees in the park, that we're notified.
Okay, let's add that. So at least 48 hours prior to any trenching, tree trimming, or tree removal.
Perfect.
Good. Good catch. I'd completely
And
forgotten that.
Did they
We were-
did they
There was a
claim that
whole
they were going to have
statement
the
about the
tree?
location between the trees. Is that
Sorry, I missed that,
here,
Gordon.
Bethany?
Sorry, Henry, go ahead.
No, my question is to Bethany. In the previous document, there was a kind of a specific area for the trenching that was midpoint between the trees, and I measured it actually, there's about 90 feet between the trees.
Okay.
But did that disappear?
I think
Isn't
it
that in the
might-
plan, Henry?
Yeah. Mhm.
I thought they had said they were gonna, I can't remember maybe the planning board required it or something, but they were gonna have the tree warden on site when they were doing the trenching.
Absolutely. That
Could we
also
just have that as an
disappeared.
explicit condition that they,
Yes, we need to re-add that.
okay.
Does it make sense to have them string it out before they do it so that when whoever needs to go by, they know when, or they know where it's going to occur, and
Sure.
And I think there was something about just having the tree warden there as they were doing the excavation to make sure that he was comfortable that they weren't damaging the trees.
Yeah, that was all in the original plan.
You know, we're going to have to specify that he has the power to stop
Mm.
construction. Because it's generally not clear that he can do that, and he's how shall I put this, mild-mannered about this stuff.
Authority.
Hold on.
it's just.
Power, not ability.
Authority.
If needed to
We'll
protect the
have-
trees.
Oh, yes, sorry, I can,
Authority to stop work if so determined.
sorry. Hard. Stop work if so.
If he deems necessary.
Well, we might deem it
Right.
necessary, Steve, you or I.
Sorry?
You or I might also deem it necessary, so if it's determined, I think is broader.
Okay.
Okay.
That looks good.
If it is determined what? If what is determined?
If it is determined
To stop work
necessary.
if
Determined to be
necessary.
necessary.
Yeah. if-
Okay.
To protect the health of
Let's
the
read it
trees,
again.
or
Protect the health
Protection
of
of
the trees.
resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Protection of resources, either on land or on water.
I'm trying to
we-
think how to put it.
You could just say if, you could just add if necessary to protect the resources.
Sure.
you can say conservation
No,
resources.
keep the determined, keep, if it is
Oh.
determined, if it is determined necessary to protect the resources.
Is it the resources or the roots of the tree?
Yeah, technically, Olga's correct. It's the roots of the tree.
Okay.
It's the trees that
Right.
we're trying to protect here in this
Yeah.
case.
The trees,
But-
yeah.
Right. The tree can be a resource as well. It's a land-based resource.
Yeah, it's
Like resource could cover.
You could just say the tree, I mean, that's, I don't know.
To protect the trees and the resources.
That'll be a run-on sentence. I would have to.
I think that's fine. The chair and vice chair must be notified
To
in addition
protect
to
any tree.
administrator. At least 48
Any
hours
tree.
Yeah,
sorry.
any.
This is why committees don't draft things.
Ah,
Sorry.
beauty.
Yes, that'll do.
We're moving on.
I'm sorry, was there one more condition? I can't remember. Should we add a condition about, there was this sensitive outflow pipe from the sewer, that could impact the resource if it were struck. I think they said they were gonna sort of figure it out.
Ultrasound or ground radar or something to locate it.
I don't have anything in my notes about that. I don't know if anybody remembers
What,
enough that we need to
what
condition. I don't
protection
know
are
what
you
we would.
looking for, Gordon?
Well,
What
is there anything
condition
you
would
would
you add?
condition about that, just to help make sure that they don't strike that?
There's a possible, sewer pipe under there, correct?
Yeah,
Right.
Yes.
I don't
I
know
mean,
how
I think
they-
it's in the interest of the
I
town, not
don't
just.
think it is a sewer pipe. I'm guessing they have far more interest in not hammering a piling into
Yeah.
that sewer pipe than we do.
Oh, I see here, they will budget, they said they will budget to have the contractor find it and monitor it for vibration during the pile installation. So I think they're planning to sort of do that. So I don't know if it's worth a condition explicitly to say the town will locate and monitor the sewer outfall pipe during pile installation to ensure its
There isn't any harm in putting it in.
ability or whatever, yeah.
Did I make a new, like, under the, I'll have to,
About under 29, 26, 26. Pile location will be determined by the consultant. The town will. I'm just, because Acrobat is so painfully not a word processing piece of software, we should just try to use the numbers we got.
yeah.
Is there a reason why we don't do this in Word and then paste it in?
You
I
know,
did
it's
send it to
interesting.
Steve in Word.
I
Okay,
just sent Bethany a properly formatted, properly spelled, free of duplication set of special
Amazing.
conditions, just these pages in Word,
okay.
where it
I
automatically.
only got the PDF.
All right, something we can work on for,
We don't
I
need
only
it.
Yeah.
received
Easy, everybody.
email PDFs
all right.
from Steve.
Say it again, Gordon, the town will monitor something.
And the town will locate and monitor the sewer outfall to ensure it remains free of damage.
Perfect. You can straighten out the formatting later, but
Yeah.
the numbering is right.
And
I have a
maybe-
question about
Yeah,
number
go ahead.
30.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm done.
Okay. A question about number 34.
Mm-hmm.
What do we mean by this? Do we mean a broadcast emergency cell phone call or a postcard or a public meeting or a notice in the cricket or what?
I referenced an old Piers project for this, and it
All
was.
right, but what do we actually mean in this case?
Mhm. I don't know.
I
What do we
think
mean?
we need
Anybody,
that.
anybody have a dog in that hunt or not?
No, get it out.
I mean, normally you'd put up like a poster on the site so people know what's happening. But I don't think it needs to
Actually, a
be
really
here.
good idea. That doesn't often happen.
You want me to strike it out?
Well, I like Jim's suggestion. The applicant will provide information about the project on site for the general public.
Can't hurt.
Saves a lot of questions to you.
Oh, and Peter Morgan mentioned it should be on the town website.
I imagine they're going to put it there, but not many people walking by Reed Park are going to look at the town website.
Yeah,
So the applicant will post information for the general public. Just start with reach out and wipe that out.
Delete starting at reach out and then, yeah.
Applicant.
We'll post information for the general public. Information about this project for the general public on site and on the town's website. Thank you, Jim. And we just need website at the end of that. At the end of 34,
Sorry.
all right? Great. This project is boilerplate, but we do have some perpetual conditions.
These are a reference from our previous pier
Right.
project. Dock project.
37 is kind of new to me, but is that includes the,
That's not correct. So 4 float sections can remain for designation as half-hour free sites, but they are not free of charge for public use.
okay.
Hmm.
And that would include the original floats as well as these additional.
I think it means a total of 4 anywhere you put them on the dock, Steve.
Okay. So
So
are we saying
free of
it's up to
charge?
Say
four?
free of charge for public use with a limitation of 1/2 hour per stay at the dock,
Okay,
per arrival at the dock.
I get.
Thank you,
Just
Henry.
say for not more than 1/2 hour dock time.
Stay.
Daily, and you can say 1/2 hour stay per day. Per day, per person, really, per boat.
For boat.
Yep,
Per boat.
yep.
I mean, I don't want to be legally, but you might want to say at a minimum, the equivalent of 4 float sections. So that,
Yeah, you're right, Jim.
So I'm bad at spelling in front of people. It's okay.
Good. And we do expect this to be removed off season.
Mhm.
I don't think they're gonna be removed off season. I think Bion's looking at a bubbler
Cooler
system,
system.
the docks.
He did talk about bubblers, yeah.
Yep,
Well, it refers to that couple of places, so
you
do
could
we have
say
a,
in May instead of saying will. You're not making any promises.
sure.
But then why do we even need a condition if that's,
why do we need a condition exactly?
if it's
Can I
optional?
get rid of
That's-
it?
I would delete 38.
Normally, we're concerned, with floats that the winter storms will wreak havoc with them. They'll tear loose and bang up the shoreline. But that's very unlikely in this location.
I mean, does having a condition give him some permission to remove them that he otherwise wouldn't have? Because in that case, you could,
No. I think he can always remove them.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think he can always remove them as well.
We also, typically, we have a condition that they be removed when the harbor master orders storm preparations, but again, this is probably the quietest corner of the harbor.
Yeah, that might have been worth leaving in then. The harbor master has the discretion to
yeah.
call for their removal.
Do I get it back?
I don't know. I leave that to you guys.
Yeah, I think
What
he
about
does.
ice?
I think he has it already. We don't need
Yeah.
to condition
Yeah.
that for him.
Yeah.
Okay, so we back up just to special conditions and modify the one that says seasonal there.
Okay, I'll just strike it out so we don't lose our numbering weirdness.
Okay.
I just think that your Word docs just didn't come through for some reason, Steve.
I can't believe how many misfires I've had with you today. Maybe I'm sending them to your Hamilton address or something.
Maybe. Okay. Anyone else have anything to say about this?
No, it looks good.
Okay.
Out of curiosity, did anybody else get my email at 3:30 that
I
includes
did
this
get,
template?
I got that, yeah.
I got it too.
Good.
I got it, but I
That's
didn't look
right.
at it yet.
No, you don't have to. I'm just forwarding this to Bethany now.
But if we had that up, we wouldn't be able to monitor her editing, so it would be no fun.
All right, are we missing anything? And I move we issue an order of conditions for Zero Reed Park, DEP file number 39-938 with the agreed upon special and perpetual conditions.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? David?
Aye.
Henry?
Aye.
Jim?
I,
Gordon?
Aye.
Olga?
Aye.
And I'll make that unanimous. 6 ayes, no nays. Thank you. Minutes for review. Do we have some?
Yes. And I didn't find anything on it.
Excellent. Would you like to move we accept them?
I'll move that we accept the minutes of May 29, 2025.
Second. All those in favor? Gordon?
Aye.
Henry?
Aye.
Jim?
I,
David?
Aye.
Olga?
Aye.
That's also unanimous. Thank you. We move on to new other old business. First item is a proposal to transfer $5,000 from the Wetlands Fund. Bethany or Mark, can you enlighten us about that?
Yes, I shared Andrea's correspondence. It's in the Conservation Commissioner's documents. And she basically emailed me and asked me, oh, can you add this to the agenda? It's basically her email. I'll read it verbatim. Just let me pull it up
Thank you.
real quick. Andrea, who's the town accountant, she's like, hi, Bethany. Would you please put on the next conservation meeting approval to transfer $5,000 from the Wetlands Fund? This is done every year to offset the conservation agent salary budget. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you, Andrea.
Interesting. It is true, it's done every year, except we didn't do it last year because we were splitting the cost of the conservation administrator with Hamilton. Which we still are to some extent, but I guess it's still something the town is seeking. Anyone have any objection?
Nope.
All
No.
right, I'll move we transfer $5,000 from the Wetlands Fund for the use of offsetting some of the salary costs for the conservation administrator. Second,
Second.
thank you. All those in favor, Olga,
Aye.
Gordon,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Jim,
I,
and I am an aye. Thank you. Next is discussion of the CPC funding for the Western Woods. And I guess I can lead that off by saying we've gotten some assistance from this college student, landscape and environmental person who's here for the summer, part of the summer anyway, Paula Snyder, who pointed out that money would probably be best spent, short money like what we have, doing a modest improvement of the parking at the end of Crooked Lane and upgrading the signage. Since it's possible, as I demonstrated on our walk there 2 or 3 weeks ago, it's possible even if you know the trails to get lost. There's a lot of unmarked forks and T intersections and such. Olga and some of the open space folks and I met couple days ago, and we went over Sweeney Park and the trail around Dexter Pond. A couple of us also climbed up onto what's called the Weems property, which is the hill right next to Sweeney Park, kind of between Sweeney Park and downtown. Just to see what it might be used for if we could put a trail in there. A trail would actually be fairly easy to put in, but it would just be a loop, as it turns out. The property terminates in some very steep cliffs going down to the railroad track 60 or 70 feet below, and the same going down to Sweeney Field. So you can't really get off the hill without walking into private property to the west. And from that, we concluded, Olga, correct me if I have this wrong, but we concluded that the trail around Dexter Pond sorely needs some trail maintenance, including some large sawing to get some deadfalls off the trail. But the trail is rapidly disappearing due to very aggressive growth by clethra and greenbrier and poison ivy and lots of other things. It also poses some issues. One little stretch of it that goes over the outfall of Dexter Pond has been beavered. And the beavers may not be there anymore. It doesn't look like they are, but their lodge has turned into a great nursery for buckthorn and other plants that like that kind of setting. So the trail kind of disappears there completely. So that needs some work, but the CPA money was more for improvement than it was for maintenance. And I'm hoping that we have the funds in our other accounts to pay for some trail work. One of the open space folks is reaching out to Cape Ann Trail Stewards to see if they're willing and able to do some of this work, either in Western Woods or at Dexter Pond. Olga, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay. So the Paula Snyder has put some feelers out to contractors, and I put a call into Patrice Murphy at MECT, because the area where we would want to put a little more parking is MECT property, not town property, and that's probably good news because it means we would not have to go through the full rigmarole of town contracting to get somebody up there with a backhoe or a front end loader or something to smooth out some space and then cover it with some pervious but stable material.
And Paula was gonna talk to a couple of contractors so we can get some base amounts for cost.
Right. And it's possible that MECT, when I talk to them, will want to participate in that financially.
Right.
Which would be great. We're still not sure how far $15,000 or $20,000 will take us, but if we keep our sites kind of low for the quality of parking area, we just try to expand what is currently there and keep it from washing away. Signage is not expensive, at least not the kind of stuff we're thinking about. Mark, do you think we're barking up the right trees here?
I'm not sure. I wanted to ask you, I still didn't get a chance to go out to that spot that's directly opposite the off-ramp from 128, you know.
Yeah,
southbound.
I did that. Paula walked it with me, part of it.
Right, and that is town land there, so I was just curious. I know it is steep, but you know, we do own the road and the land there, so I mean, it is possible to add a second access point into Western Woods. I don't know how steep and what the, you know, if you put a trail in, what that would be like, because you had said that it does access the trails once you get up past the little.
They're nice
part.
trails. They're mainly mountain biking trails, but very pleasant ones. And there's some bridges and other elements that are,
Well, it's worth to look at that too. And that
Yeah.
will stretch to 20,000 even more and need MECT
Well,
more.
yeah, to be specific, there's already parking there because you can park, a car well off
Yeah.
Mhm.
Pine Street on the side. You could only park 6 or 8 cars there. But the hillside is so steep, as Mark said, that even a switchback trail is going to need retention elements to keep it from falling off the hillside. It's already pretty eroded there. So, some kind of, the cheapest would be railroad tie material kind of pegged into the slope. It would not be a trail for, everyday walkers. It would be a trail for people who want to, get their lungs full quickly because it's steep. But it's
It's
short.
not-
Once you're up 100 feet, you're in great shape.
It's not only I came by it today. It's not only very steep, it's unappealing for walkers because you're right next to 128. You're hearing the road traffic and the trucks going by. It's not a great way to begin a wonderful walking experience in the woods.
Yeah. Did you walk right along the guardrail, David?
I'm afraid to walk along the guardrail. In fact, I'm surprised some bikers are not afraid to walk. That's right along that guardrail.
Yeah, it's not pleasant. You don't have to take that route. That route leads to the drainage swale that comes down to Pine Street, and that turns out to be how most of the bikes access this area. They go up the drainage swale, they ride along the highway for a quarter mile, and then they
Right.
turn left into the western woods. But I don't think any hiker is going to want to do that. That's
No.
beyond unappealing. That
It's
feels
not a good
unsafe.
sight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if somebody can come up with a better way to get folks up that 100-foot hillside, more power to you. I didn't explore the whole hillside. It gets to be wetland when you get down close to Dewey Doucette's house, but there might be some access that isn't quite as steep along there somewhere.
So if we're having Cape Ann Trails looking at Dexter Pond, we can have them take a quick look and see if it's something they'd be interested in
Yeah.
getting involved with.
Okay, we'll add that to their list. But meanwhile, our effort is to try to get some of this
Try
work
to
done. at
spend
least-
money.
Yeah, spend the money before
Appropriate.
the end of the year.
Yeah.
Certainly before the end of the fiscal year, so that
Yeah.
the CPC doesn't try to reclaim it. Oh, I don't see anything else on our new other business, so
I have one, Steve.
please raise it.
So the CPC needs a representative from the Conservation Commission. You and I have
Excellent.
talked about this. And
I
would
nominate David Lumsden to be the official representative of the Concom to the CPC. Is there a
Second,
second? Thank you. All those in favor indicate by waving your hands vigorously.
Yay.
Good, okay, we've got
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
Henry
Thank
got his
you.
dog to wave.
And real quick, this is not related to us and I will adjourn us. Mark, you got an email from the chair of the Housing Authority saying go through her
Oh, I did?
about the parking at Newport Park.
Okay, when did I get that?
I just saw it tonight.
This afternoon, yeah.
Okay. All right, so
She
maybe,
responded to Olga. Olga
Yeah.
has more sway than any of us. with
yeah,
these
I
guys.
guess so, okay.
Oh,
So
the
what-
last thing is that Henry noticed the work to restore that water main on Night Circle. Apparently it went out last week. So the northern half of Night Circle, which is David Lumsden's old house and 2 other properties going back toward School Street, were without water. It's a private road, so after some discussion with, we can't figure out who in town hall because nobody will own up to talking about this. They brought in Jeffries Creek to excavate and replace some of the service lines. And when I was there this afternoon, McGinnis was there doing the final paving to cover up relatively small but significant work in each of those 3 driveways. And it's, you know, it's within 20 feet of Sawmill Brook. So what's notable about this is that nobody asked Concom for permission, even on an emergency basis. And that's not right. Those folks in particular who, you know, live near one of the floody areas should know that we're trying to look out for the protection of that stream. So, and anybody have a suggestion about what we can do about this? As I said, the work is virtually complete. And as David said, probably good for another 8 to 10 years before it breaks again.
Can we send a letter to the homeowners that were involved saying, just a reminder that because you're so close to the river, that Concom needs to be contacted anytime there's any work here? Not that they would
No.
forget unless
late.
they chose to forget, but,
Too late.
hmm?
After the fact NOI is what I'd recommend. But
Really?
I also have a much more or an additionally productive suggestion, which is, would anyone like to help me offer a seminar to local land contractors on Wetlands Protection Act and Manchester bylaws?
Oh, that's a big
Yeah.
act.
That's not a
Be
big
happy
ask.
to help you and recommend that it be a library program presentation.
There we
It's gonna
go.
be a-
Thank you, David.
That's going to be a must miss. I mean, must attend.
That's what I'm afraid of, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for
I'm
the
I'm
support.
just remembering my attempt to talk to the guys who cut down trees. I got all their
Yeah,
names.
well-
I called them all. I said, you
Listen,
guys know that landowners don't know anything about tree policy, but you're supposed to know a little bit about tree policy in the town.
we have a list. We
I
have a
think
list
we'd
They all
all,
said,
already.
oh, yeah, okay, yes, we'll definitely, always in the future. Yes, thank you for telling us. This is so valuable.
Steve, who was gonna cut the trees at 37 Bennett? Chicoria?
I think it was Chicoria.
Okay, they're gonna come.
Good, good.
Jeffries Creek, coming.
I
Do they-
did stop
do we
the
have
trees
a,
at the Bennett Street though.
do we have any authority to issue fines?
Yeah.
We can
Citation.
issue tickets, actually, like.
Because a
like the
little
cops do.
$50 ticket ends up in the cricket, and that's probably better than an after the fact notice.
Yeah, the problem is they have to be in violation.
Yeah.
When the work is done, I'm not sure technically they're in violation. But we could say that they are.
They were in violation from Friday until today.
Yeah, this afternoon.
Tuesday.
Right. The asphalt isn't dry yet, so they're in violation.
Well, I've got photographic evidence.
We have been very hesitant, I will put it this way, to issue fines.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's the
Although,
endear
you know,
you.
Hamilton has gotten some experience now with issuing them in a what's that called? The Goldman Sachs formula, where you start out at $50 a day and it goes to $100 a day and then $200 a day and then $400.
Well, in the case of the restaurant on Central where ignored you, I wouldn't hesitate there to, but
Yeah, well, Mark is our liaison with Mr. Harden and the folks at 7 Central and Zero School, I think they're now calling it. And
I sent them an email today asking them about when they're going to file a notice of intent, as well as send me kind of a project list for the next 2 weeks. So hopefully I'll hear tomorrow and I'll send an email out to everybody. So
Okay, yeah, if you don't hear tomorrow, I guess unless someone objects, I'm inclined to send them an email that says, look, we made a deal. You could continue work if you filed an after the fact NOI and got rid of that dumpster. And we would not stop your project. And we're holding up our end of the deal, but you don't seem to be holding up yours. So either we see that NOI by the end of the week, or we'll do what we have to do, which is stop your work.
So if we're gonna do that kind of a letter to him, I think we should somehow, I don't know whether an after the fact notice of intent is gonna impact these people. You think it's just the cost of it, and who is it gonna go to, Henry?
It's a slap on the wrist, literally. As Jim was saying, it doesn't. hurt
You're
them.
talking about Night Circle, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
Who is it going to
you're
go
talking
to?
about Night Circle.
It's gonna go to us from the two residents. And it seems to be two, not three, Steve.
Oh, okay. McGinnis said it was 3 driveways.
Hmm.
Maybe it's 3 spots on 2 properties.
That's what I think that's absolutely right. I know there's an extra
Okay.
space in there because I walk my dogs there all
Should
the
there
time.
be a letter sent saying file an after the fact NOI to them?
so you think that's the way to go, Bethany?
I think like there's like yes,
abbreviated-
there's like a little spreadsheet if someone's like doing a violation or stuff. That's in Hamilton. It's like a flow chart of like what to do. And like that's like the first step is sending the letter to them.
Yeah, we have the same flow chart in our file somewhere.
So
But
is that what we
with-
wanna do?
you're talking about Night Circle now?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, I think
7
I agree
Central's a-
with you on 7 Central,
okay.
and now we're back on Night Circle.
Yeah, I think for a single family residence homeowner, filing an NOI is some form of punishment. They have to go get a engineered plan, they have to notify butters, they have to color inside the lines for a while. And it's costly, for a commercial real estate developer like, the folks doing 7 Central, it's just part of doing business. They've got folks who on retainer and on staff who can do that kind of work.
Well, the Night Circle population, shame on them, and this may be doubly costly because I think if they'd gone through proper channels, they could have persuaded the town to pay for the repair.
It's
And so
interesting.
now they have to pay for it privately and file an NOI.
Double whammy.
Do we know if this was an emergency, like a water main break that or is
Yeah.
this something they
It
just, they
was a
had
water.
to replace their service lines and?
No, it was definitely was a break, Mark, because the David Lumsden's old house, whoever's in that now, had to run water from an outside spigot at the Gillis's next door. And I don't know what the other house did, the Ryans.
So what they should have done shouldn't they have filed for like an emergency
Yeah,
Yes,
thing? Right.
They
yes.
just put a call into the town, and the town, somebody in the town would say, hey, you're right on Sawmill Brook, you need to talk to Bethany.
Mhm. Okay.
It's a little tough in an emergency to go back and smack them, but I do think that the contractors should be the ones that, you want to keep,
Yeah, Henry's thought exactly.
It was, they know
Yeah,
that.
Well,
we drafted,
Yeah, I don't think you can go after the contractor. You have to go after the homeowner.
No,
And then
we
it's
can't
up
at
to the
this stage,
homeowner to chase the contractor. He probably won't get anywhere, but
you just,
no, I'm interested in the contractor being the notifier, the one who says, hey, before I do this work, you'll save yourself a lot of time and money if you contact the Conservation Commission. Because generally they do the opposite. They say, oh, you don't need to do it. Like the stream is
Right.
miles away. This is only going to take a day. They won't even know. Plus, it's an emergency. I,
Noticed.
for what it's worth, I wrote a new bylaw for the town tree policy a couple of years ago, when I realized it was all sort of begging for forgiveness. Nobody was ever asking for permission like the policy requires. And I put in it a modest fine for the homeowner and a fairly substantial fine for the contractor.
Hmm.
So figuring the contractors should know better. And if they don't, they should learn. It got no traction in any part of town government.
I am just warning about the fine aspect, because Hamilton does, like, the previous agent and the previous chair was trying to do fines on this contractor, and they've heard zip zero from them, and that's been an ongoing issue that I've been grandfathered into, so I am hesitant about that in a way.
What's more effective maybe is put it on a list where they don't get town business. If we can engineer that one.
Yeah. So the wall of shame somewhere.
I still think, since it was an emergency for the owners of the properties, they may have just reached out for a contractor. So I
Yeah.
think a letter reminding them, because of where they are, that even if it's an emergency, they need to come before us, is really almost the only way to go.
I
Again,
agree. I agree with Olga.
I agree with Olga. I know the woman who bought our house, I think she still owns it. It's Mrs. George Putnam. She owns 3 houses in Massachusetts, and who knows where else. She's an absentee landlord. And if you say Peter Canny took control of this project, it's probably because they couldn't even reach her. That my old house is being rented, and it has been for 5 years. So I can understand why there was a lot of confusion and difficulty reaching the owner.
David,
Okay.
that's totally not our problem.
I know, but to ask them to come for an NOI, I have a feeling it's going to be the same difficulty we have on Pine Street with the woman and her bridge crossing the street.
Well,
Hard to reach
well,
those.
still try. Let's give it a shot.
We eventually got to her, but you're right, it took 6 months, 8 months. All right, folks, I appreciate that advice. I'm inclined to get a little stiffer resolve with 7 Central. And sounds like the consensus is to do a stern reminder to the owner, not the renter, of the former Lumsden house. And the other house is that Ryan's house?
Yeah.
Jack Ryan's, yeah.
And isn't he an attorney who deals with environmental things?
I think he's a property attorney.
Right.
You better talk to
Well,
him. It's not
one
me.
assumes he's heard of the Wetlands Protection Act.
you know
Oh,
what, I
riverfront.
think if this was not an emergency, it would be a different thing, but because it was an emergency, everybody just jumped right in, so they just need to be reminded. It's, again, I'm not gonna repeat myself, but that's
Gotcha.
what I think needs to happen.
I gotcha.
I agree.
Okay. Any other new business, old business? Show business? Good. Olga, you're on.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Is there a second? Thank you. Any objection? Hearing none. We stand adjourned till September 9th. Happy Labor Day, everyone, in advance.
Bye.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye, thanks, Bethany.
Bye, Mark.